You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Monday, the 14th of April. India's laser weapon neutralizes drones in landmark trial, puts country in elite club. Activists in Canada demand release of Mehrang Baloch, flag Pakistani atrocities. And Nepal's deposed king signs hope of political change in upcoming year. And now for all the details. In a landmark achievement, India has entered an exclusive league of nations, including the US, China and Russia, by successfully demonstrating the capability to neutralize fixed-wing and swarm drones using a 30-kilowatt laser-based directed energy weapon. The trial of the indigenously developed Mark II, a laser DU system, was conducted this past weekend at the National Open Air Range in Kurnool by India's DRDO. The system engaged fixed-wing drones at long range, thwarted a simulated multiple drone attack and destroyed enemy surveillance sensors and antenna with lightning speed and lethal precision during the trial. Unlike traditional kinetic weapons, the laser DU operates at the speed of light, using an intense beam to silence through targets, causing structural failure or catastrophic damage if aimed at a warhead. Its cost effectiveness, equivalent to the price of a few liters of petrol per shot, makes it a game changer in modern warfare. The inbuilt electro-optic sensors and radar integration sensor rapid detection and response, minimizing collateral damage and reliance on expensive ammunition.
See, for the first time, we are showing a technology in use and its devastation, what we could showcase you in all forms. That indefinitely shows that how far we are going forward in our technology maturity. Now, as you increase the power, this is 30 kilowatt. So we have graduated from 2 kilowatt to 10 kilowatt to 30 kilowatt. So we know the system. Now, if you bring up to this, now beyond is going to be only the numbers. So 30 can go to 50, to 100, to 300 and endless. I think technology, the country has matured, and what you saw is an absolute indigenous product of multiple DRDO labs working on synergy, along with startup, academic institutions and industries together.
And India's semiconductor ambitions are gaining global recognition, with top US industry leaders calling it a special moment for the sector.
India is making significant strides in the semiconductor sector and is well positioned to become a major part of the global supply chain. John Nuffer, the president and CEO of the US-based Semiconductor Industry Association, said during the Carnegie India Global Technology Summit held in New Delhi. Nuffer praised India's progress in recent years, citing 6 key semiconductor projects already underway and highlighting the country's growing capabilities in chip design, assembly, testing and packaging. 2 years ago, there was nothing in play. Now we see real momentum, he said.
Compared to where India was a couple of years, it's made really significant progress. Right now we have 6 very important projects already in play. I think India's doing a lot of the right things. I think India needs to focus on some problems at the border with customs, some tariff issues, some non-tariff barriers, but overall I think India's heading in the right direction. Very, very positive on the outlook. I think India has very strong future when it comes to our back-end assembly, test, and packaging. It's a very important part of our supply chain. But on the front end, there's also critical minerals.
Referring to the US-India Trust, Transforming the Relationship Utilizing Strategic Technology initiative and ongoing talks for a bilateral trade agreement, Nuffer called it a special moment for India's semiconductor journey. Industry projections place India's semiconductor market at $109 billion by 2030, up from $38 billion in 2023, powered by government initiatives under the India Semiconductor Mission.
And China's ambitious Midok Dam on the Brahmaputra promises power but stirs deep concerns downstream. Is it a leap toward clean energy or a looming threat to millions in India and Bangladesh? We have a report.
The mighty Brahmaputra, originating from the Angsi Glacier in Tibet, flows through India's northeast before entering Bangladesh, where it merges with the Ganges and empties into the Bay of Bengal. Nourishing lands and sustaining millions, this lifeline is now at risk due to China's plan to build the world's largest hydroelectric dam. Why? ANI explains. The Brahmaputra is more than a river. It's life, livelihood, and legend for millions across Tibet, India, and Bangladesh. But at a dramatic bend in its journey, China plans to build the Medoc Dam in the Great Bend region of Medoc County, a project that could become the world's largest hydroelectric dam with a projected capacity of 300 billion kilowatt hours annually, surpassing even the Three Gorges Dam. For China, it represents power, renewable energy, and control over Tibet's waters. But for its neighbors, it raises serious concerns. India has urged China to consider the downstream impact, while experts from India and Bhutan warn of significant environmental and geopolitical risks.
It is going to impact the lower riparian country, because we need to understand the moment Brahmaputra comes from a high speed from a Tibetan plateau, and this U-bend where this Medong County is going to construct, there's a steep elevation of 2000 meters. So from that 2000 meter, the moment when the water will come down, it will at a very, very high speed, and it can create a huge amount of energy. It's just not necessarily that, just for creating the energy, but it is also to weaponize the water.
The proposed Brahmaputra Dam lies in a seismically active zone with a history of earthquakes. Experts warn that its construction and operation could increase seismic risks, threatening the dam's stability and downstream safety.
I see that it would be like storing something that's about to burst, and because of technical issues of dam failures or natural disasters such as earthquakes, it could be a risk. And then also this region, we believe, both in the Indian side and also the Tibetan side, is also considered as very sacred sites, so it's also a compromise to that one.
The Brahmaputra is a lifeline for communities in India's northeast region and Bangladesh, supporting rich aquatic life and local fisheries. Disruptions to water flow and sedimentation from the dam could reduce fish populations, threatening livelihoods and food security.
Large number of fishes which migrate from one riverbed to the another riverbed. It becomes very difficult for them also, for their biodiversity also. So there are growing challenges, but we need to come out with a reactive and strong protest against these activities which are happening on the upper riparian country.
The key question remains: will this massive project promote regional cooperation and sustainable growth, or spark conflict over water rights and environmental harm?
Moving on, the members of Baloch Human Rights Council gathered in Toronto over the weekend to protest the Pakistani state's crackdown on Baloch activists and called for intervention by the international community. A report.
The Baloch Human Rights Council of Canada staged a powerful demonstration in Toronto this past weekend in solidarity with Dr. Mahrang Baloch and other Baloch activists facing a harsh crackdown by the Pakistani state. The protesters chanted slogans against enforced disappearances, arbitrary arrests and human rights violations taking place in Balochistan, and demanded immediate intervention by the UN, and called on the Canadian government to use diplomatic channels for unconditional release of the detained activists.
Our arrest is not a just attack on Dr. Mahrang Baloch. This is an attack on all voices of justice, peace and resistance in Balochistan. Let me be clear, this is not the first time Pakistan is committing crimes in Balochistan.
So she should be released immediately, unconditionally, without putting any conditions on civil rights and on her demands. Whatever she wants, she has so far not agreed with the Pakistani government. And the United Nations.
The BHRC emphasized that peaceful activism by Mahrang Baloch has become a symbol of resistance for all Baloch people, and her detention is seen as a blatant attempt to silence dissent. The demonstrators vowed to continue raising their voices internationally until justice is served and human rights are upheld in Balochistan.
Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya this past weekend said that the government will abolish the Prevention of Terrorism Act, fulfilling a key promise in the National People's Power Manifesto, the Daily Mirror has reported. Speaking at a public event, the Prime Minister said a cabinet-appointed committee is already working on the repeal process, adding that the government will not allow oppression based on ethnicity or religion. The 1979 law criticized for enabling arbitrary detentions and targeting minorities has been blamed for human rights abuses, particularly against Tamils during the Civil War and Muslims after the 2019 Easter bombings. The PTA allows authorities to detain suspects without charge for up to 12 months, often under vague terrorism accusations. Human rights groups, including the UN, have condemned its use to suppress dissent and extract confessions through torture. The NPP, led by the President Dissanayke's JVP, has long opposed the law, citing its own history of facing PTA crackdowns in the 1980s. Amid the heightened tension over the revival of the monarchy in Nepal, deposed King Gyanendra Shah has expressed hope for a new system aligned with the will of Nepalese people. In a 13-minute video message released on the occasion of Nepali New Year, the 77-year-old former monarch addressed rising public discontent and political instability. The awakening to free the country from existing complexities and build a peaceful, stable, prosperous nation has instilled confidence that the new year 2082 will bring results aligned with the aspirations of the Nepali people, the former king said in a video statement on Facebook. The statement comes amid growing pro-monarchy sentiment in Nepal, just days before the right-wing Rashtriya Prajatantra Party planned street protests to demand the restoration of the monarchy. The Shah dynasty, once revered as incarnations of the Hindu god Vishnu, was abolished in 2008 after nearly 250 years, transforming Nepal into a secular republic. Shah, who ascended the throne in 2001 after the royal massacre that killed his brother and his family, briefly seized absolute power in the 2005 coup, dissolving parliament and arresting political leaders. His actions triggered widespread protests, leading to his ousting in 2006. The monarchy was formally ended 2 years later, with the Communist Party of Nepal, Maoists, joining mainstream politics after a decade-long insurgency. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.